Welcome to Bad Goodbyes. Each week on our show, we spotlight species from the IUCN Critically Endangered Red List. These are plants and animals with decreasing populations, nearing the edges of extinction. We'll share species research, information, and conservation proposals, and then we'll spend the end of the show opening a space for contemplation and awe. We'll improvise a soundscape of gentleness, of reflection, of delight, and maybe of grieving. Without conservation activity and significant societal shift, many of these species may not survive the 21st century. And so, perhaps we might acknowledge their journey with a moment of our attention, a recognition of our kinship, and with a commitment to personal and systemic change. Thank you for listening. On today's show, we consider the Lilacine Amazon. The Lilacine Amazon is a critically endangered parrot native to South America, specifically southwestern Ecuador near the Pacific coast. The Lilacine Amazon is an avian species, a bird, in the Psittaciformes order, that's parrots, and its scientific name is Amazona lilacina. It is considered a small parrot for its genus, generally measuring about a foot in length from beak to tail feather and weighing just under a pound. Their plumage is a soft, warm green, with a bright red coloration on the forehead and between their eyes that extends up to their crown, that's the top of the head, where it shifts into a bluish purplish tone. Their cheeks are a bright yellow-green with a pale yellowish white around their eyes. Their primary flight feathers are green with bluish tips. The secondary feathers are green with some patches of red. Their tail feathers are also green. They have a strong, hooked, dark gray-black beak made of keratin, so like human fingernails. At the top of the upper beak are two small nostrils near their forehead. The Lilacine Amazon has brown eyes with a black pupil positioned on the sides of their head, providing a nearly 360-degree field of vision. Parrots have excellent vision, with proportionally large eyes and 4 types of cone cells in their retina, compared to 3 in humans. So this allows them to see ultraviolet light and a wider spectrum of colors. There is likely a connection between their super vibrant plumage and their highly tuned eyesight. Their bright colorations likely play a role in mate selection and other social signaling. They have small ear openings behind and slightly below their eyes, covered by specialized ear coverts. This is a layer of feathers to protect the ear opening. Parrots also have exceptional hearing. Their auditory organs are particularly attuned to frequencies in the range of their vocalizations, and they have high auditory cognition, resulting in acute discernment. So this means that they can hear and their brain can recognize small variations in frequency. An obvious example of this is the ability of some parrots to mimic human speech, which is only possible because of their finely tuned hearing. The main body of the Lilacine Amazon is covered by contour feathers, which overlap like shingles. Beneath the contour feathers are soft, fluffy down feathers, which provide insulation, and powder down feathers, which grow continuously and continuously fragment into a fine keratin dust that aids in waterproofing and acts as a natural cleaning agent. Their chest holds strong pectoral muscles, which power the downstroke of their wings during flight, and supracoracoides muscles, which attach to tendons in a kind of pulley system to raise the wings during upstrokes. I was surprised and delighted to learn that the skeletal structure of the wings is not unlike human arms and hands. The upper wing is a ball and socket humerus bone that fits into their shoulder. Then two forewing bones, the radius and the ulna. And then the carpometacarpus, which is a fused bone structure analogous to the human wrist and hand. Both primary and secondary flight feathers attach directly to these bones, providing the structural integrity necessary to withstand force generated during flight. The legs of the Lilacine Amazon are adapted for perching and climbing. Their feet are zygodactyl, meaning that they have two toes pointed forward and two toes pointed backward to grip branches and manipulate food. There are claws at the tip of each toe. They have long, stiff tail feathers in an overlapping fan-like shape, used for steering, braking, and providing lift, especially during takeoffs and landings. Then below that is the vent on their underside. This is the external opening to the cloaca, a chamber for the urinary, reproductive, and digestive systems. The Lilacine Amazon is an arboreal forager, gathering food by moving through the forest canopy, eating fruits, nuts, berries, and seeds, including mango, Spanish plum, fig, and the buds, flowers, and seeds of the kapok tree, the mountain cotton, and the balsa. In habitats encroached upon by human development, Lilacine Amazon have been observed eating coffee beans and cultivated fruits. The Lilacine Amazon forages in flocks. Scientists use the term gregarious to describe this behavior. So, species that actively form groups to communicate, share foraging information, and protect against predators are considered gregarious. The Lilacine Amazon exhibits a complex of social structures. They form large flocks at their daytime forage sites, and again at nighttime communal roosting sites. And then within that larger group, they form smaller multifamily flocks during daytime flying, forage seeking, and roosting. And then narrowing down, they also form family units of 3 to 5 individuals while chicks are young, and form long-term monogamous pair bonds when mating. The Lilacine Amazon is often described as gentle and timid. It avoids confrontation with intruders, seeking cover if in danger. That said, it is a very vocal communicator, using a diversity of complex calls and soundings to share information, reinforce social bonds, and alert their flock mates to threats. So let's take a listen. These are 2 recordings of the Lilacine Amazon made by Carl Berg in the Cerro Blanco Nature Reserve in Ecuador. In the dream, I am learning a new language and delighting in the work, how it tickles neural pathways, how it makes unlikely poetries. And 2, I'm feeling a bit of pride, a little smug. I'm getting this. I'm feeling the flow. There's music on my lips, and I make meaning from what once was impenetrable noise. Would you like some fruit? Quieres algo de fruta? Tu voudrais des fruits? Wa'a'a, 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 ooh. The sea is very beautiful. El mar es muy hermoso. La mer est très belle. Ua, 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 ua. Go again, my teacher nods. And so I repeat. The sea is very beautiful. El mar es muy hermoso. La mer est très belle. Ooh-ah-ah, ooh-ah-ah, ooh-ah-ah. And with that, my tiny teacher pecks my hand and flies off. I have, unwittingly, called his mother foolish. In the dream. As mentioned, the Lilacine Amazon form long-term mating pair bonds. During breeding season, which is roughly December to April, pair bonds will split off from the flock to seek and occupy nesting sites. They are obligate cavity nesters, meaning they rely exclusively on natural tree cavities for laying their eggs and raising their young. Nests have been found within the hollowed-out trunks and branches of species such as the pigio tree and the sabo tree. So after nest site selection and successful mating, the female will lay a clutch of 1 to 4 eggs, which she incubates for about 3 weeks. Young are born altricial, meaning they are underdeveloped at the time of hatching and require parental care. During incubation, and while the chicks are young, the male of the pair will consume additional food, which he then regurgitates to feed both the mother and the new young. The female remains at the nest for protection. The chicks fledge, which means leave the nest, after about 2 months, and this new family unit then rejoins the flock. The fledglings reach reproductive maturity at 3 to 4 years of age, and the Lilacine Amazon can live to approximately 20 to 30 years in the wild. The Lilacine Amazon is native to South America, specifically in the southwest of Ecuador, near the Pacific coast and the city of Guayaquil. There are believed to be 3 isolated subpopulations, one to the north, near Bahia de Caracas and the Isla Corazon Wildlife Refuge, one near Guayaquil and the Cerro Blanco Nature Reserve, and one to the south in the El Oro province. In all 3 locations, its habitat includes a nighttime roosting site in mangrove forests and a daytime feeding site in nearby dry forests. So each morning at dawn, the flock commutes to the dry forest, remaining there throughout the day and returning at dusk to their mangrove roost. These sites are usually less than 10 miles apart, a roughly 25-minute journey for the parrot each way. Their mangrove forest roosts are found along the Pacific coast, at the mouths of river systems, and on near-coast islands. These are dense stands of mangrove trees, adapted to thrive in this intertidal zone where freshwater rivers mix with the saltwater from the Pacific Ocean. This is a swampy, brackish environment with fluctuating water levels due to daily tidal cycles. Terrain is generally flat and low-lying, with interconnected channels, estuaries, mudflats, and tidal creeks that weave throughout the trees. The tropical dry forests of their feeding sites are a rolling and rocky terrain of coastal hills, low mountains, ravines, and valleys, many of which contain seasonal streams and small springs. Elevations range from near sea level to approximately 1,500 feet. The dominant vegetation is deciduous, and many trees shed their leaves during the dry season, this is June to December, to conserve water. Throughout the landscape, there are pockets of large trees like the ceibo and the balsa, interspersed with verdant, smaller growth, so low trees, shrubs, flowers. Summer highs in this region average in the upper 80s Fahrenheit. Winter lows average in the low 70s. And the contrast between the wet and dry season is stark. February, for example, will see 8 inches of rain, while August will see less than 1/8 of an inch. Across the year, average annual rainfall is roughly 40 inches. The Lilacine Amazon shares its habitat with ocelot, gray-backed hawk, mantled howler monkey, crab-eating raccoon, Pallas's long-tongued bat, ebony, red mangrove, blackish-headed spinetail, sabo, white mangrove, jelly mangrove, balsa, mountain cotton, gray-cheeked parrotlet, pale-browed tinamou, great green macaw, magnificent frigate bird, colorata, green iguana, jaguar, arboreal tarantula, palo santo, and many, many more. Historically, severe deforestation, driven by agriculture, cattle ranching, logging, and charcoal production, has been a major threat to the coastal foliage that the Lilacine Amazon relies upon. Today, continued habitat destruction and urban expansion is a contemporary threat. One of the Lilacine Amazon's feeding sites is less than 5 miles from Guayaquil, Ecuador's largest city of over 2.5 million people. And its flight path from its mangrove roosting site to that dry forest takes it through highly, highly developed areas. Human-induced climate change is also a threat. Rising global temperatures caused by the continued use of fossil fuels is melting polar ice, resulting in sea level rise. By the end of the 21st century, the ocean waters at the Ecuadorian coast are expected to rise by about 2 feet, which would overrun the coastal mangrove forests that the Lilacine Amazon calls home. The Lilacine Amazon is also being poached for sale on the illegal exotic pet market. Their gorgeous plumage, their gentle demeanor, and their rarity make them an attractive companion animal. And while Ecuador has robust laws against wildlife trafficking, black market animal trade is a complex, powerful international network, and enforcement is often hampered by a lack of resources. Fortunately, much of the Lilacine Amazon's habitat falls on protected lands, like the El Salado Mangrove Reserve, the Isla Corazon Wildlife Refuge, and the Cerro Blanca Nature Reserve. The non-governmental org Fundación Hocotoco is actively purchasing and protecting new land, having established the Las Balsas Reserve to protect parrot roosting and nesting sites. And having identified a reduction of favorable nesting cavities within that habitat, they have initiated a nest box program. Conservationists are building and installing wooden nest boxes in the park, and they have observed Lilacine Amazon pairs using these artificial nests. Fundación Hocotoco is also leading community engagement and education programs in an effort to curb poaching. Trade in the species is illegal, both nationally and internationally. Those mentioned, enforcement has proven challenging. The European Association of Zoos and Aquaria manages an off-site captive breeding program with individuals spread across 24 global institutions. Nevertheless, the Lilacine Amazon has been considered critically endangered on the IUCN Red List since 2020, and their population is currently in decline. Our most recent counts estimate that less than 2,500 Lilacine Amazon remain in the wild. Information for today's show about the Lilacine Amazon was compiled from the American Bird Conservatory, from the doctoral thesis of Rebecca Biddle, from BirdLife International, from Birds of the World at the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, from the journal Diversity, Volume 13, Number 1, from the EAZA Best Practices Guidelines. We heard field recordings from Xenocanto by Carl Berg, from the International Zoo Yearbook, Volume 37, from the IUCN, from the Manual of Parrot Behavior, and from Wikipedia. For more information about Lilacine Amazon and Ecuadorian conservation, see the Fundación Hocotoco at hocotoco.org. That is JOCOTOCO.org. So now I would like to perform some music in hopes of opening a space to be in contemplation of the other lives with whom we share our fragile earth. I don't intend to put meaning upon or extract meaning from the Lilacine Amazon. Instead, I want this music to express my awe and delight and be a moment to consider my relationship to other beings like the Lilacine Amazon. And so I will sit in a space of sound and awe and reflection, and I warmly invite you to join me.
I honor the life force of the Lilacine Amazon. I will commit its name to my record. I am so grateful to have shared time on our planet, this beautiful being. And I lament the ways in which I and my species have harmed and diminished this species. I grieve. And so, in the name of the Lilacine Amazon, I pledge to reduce my consumption, my carbon footprint, and my wastefulness. I pledge to acknowledge and attempt to address the costs of my actions and inactions. And I pledge to resist the harm of plant and animal kin and their habitats by individuals, corporations, and governments. I forever pledge my song to the witness and memory of all life, to a broad celebration of biodiversity, and to the total liberation of all beings. This has been Bad at Goodbyes. Thank you for listening. Until next time, let's take care of each other and all of our kin.